Hey guys, welcome to Lean by Doing. I'm Brian, and today I have Morgan, and she is my Chief Visual Control Officer. And today we're going to talk about her journey in Lean, her previous employer's journey with Lean, as well as ADHD. Now, I know a lot of people out there have ADHD, and that's something that they struggle with. It blew up for Morgan during our Lean implementation, and she had come up with a lot of great tools to manage it. So we're going to talk about that today, and I hope you guys find that interesting. Thanks again for joining us, and let's go. Hey, Morgan, thanks for coming on the show today. Yeah, I know you've been behind the scenes a lot for a lot of these shows, and this is actually your first one on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This is great. I'm really excited to have you on. I think that your development with Lean has been substantial. And you kind of had a turning point recently, which really kind of changed your whole trajectory. But I think before we go there, I'd like to talk about, tell me who you are and how long you've worked here and what you've done, and let's go from there.
Okay. Well, I'm Morgan. I've worked here since May of, 2021, I think.
Yeah.
I started out as a welder, working in production. Oh man, I was the only woman down there for the longest time.
Full dreadlocks.
Yeah, that's right. I started working here with dreadlocks.
Yeah, you had full dreadlocks, and yeah, you're definitely the first female welder that we had. And,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
You were very good at it.
I felt like I had to prove myself for the longest time before I started working here, and so like once I got to that point, I was like, you know what, I think I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. So when you came to work here, I mean, what were your initial thoughts when you started here? I mean, it was different. It was very different because like I'd worked at 3 different welding shops before coming here, and it was always a bunch of Gen Xers to boomers, and they're all like, oh, she can't do this job. Like, and it's, there's never any reason why a girl can't do this job. Like there's, maybe you're teeny tiny, but I used to work with a little girl that was smaller than me, and she used to throw benches around like nobody's business. So, and it's coming here. It was really cool because my coworkers in welding were a lot younger than that. Like, and honestly, most of them were younger than me, which was different for me. But they were immediately accepting. Like, even Tim was super accepting. Like, nobody ever made me feel like I needed to prove myself. Like, I just came in and I felt like I fit right in, and it was a really awesome experience. Yeah. So you welded for 2.5 years probably every time you've been here.
Close. Yeah, it might have been 1.5 years.
Okay. And then the way that you ended up in the role that you were in, I guess because you're in a different role now.
That's the best story ever.
So do you want to tell the story about how you ended up in your previous role?
Yeah. Okay, so we had just hired another female welder. Yeah. And I was in my booth doing my thing one day, and then Brian comes in. And he's like, Morgan, we're not going to be needing you anymore because we've just hired another female welder, and we don't have enough room for you. And I know how Brian is. I know how you are. So I knew you were joking with me, and I was like, all right, well, that's great.
Yeah. Why
don't you move me over into graphic design or whatever? And that kind of shocked you, I think. Like, I remember your face was like, wait, what? What?
Yeah, and it was at that point that you told me, hey, did you know that I have an art degree?
Yeah.
And that was what I went to school for. And I was like, I had no idea.
Yeah, not many people did know that.
And at that point, Cameron, who was mainly handling all the marketing responsibilities, he was in the process of relocating to Oklahoma.
I think he already had, actually. He had just
he may have just left,
And then, it was a really weird time at that point. So
we were like, hey, Morgan, why don't you come over into our marketing area? Because we have 2 buildings. So why don't you come over to the marketing building and help us with installation videos?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how the transition.
It was actually pretty funny because you were like, you're going to job shadow Cameron for a week, and then he's going to go back to Oklahoma, and then he'll come back the next month, and then you can job shadow him again. I never went back to welding after that one. After the first week, I didn't go back.
Yeah.
So I just stopped welding after that. And
it's always been important to try to move people forward in this company, even before Lean. I think with Lean, it's very different, and it's more intentional, I feel, than it ever was previously. So the opportunity to move people around is great because, if you have skills and you spent time educating yourself to become, a graphic designer, well, obviously we would
prefer to try to get you in that role.
Yeah.
I think it also helped that you're super artistic, that when you're in grinding and welding and all that, it's like 3D art
Yep.
in a way.
Yep.
So I feel like people that are good at fabricating are also usually really gifted as artists.
Yeah, they translate pretty well. Yeah, it seems like.
Yeah. So we moved you over. You started to do installation videos with Kevin Bradshaw. That was pretty much every single day. Shooting installation videos, editing installation videos, shooting product photos, editing product photos, and then Cameron would do kind of the heavy lifting
Putting
behind.
them on the website and
Yeah.
on social media and everything. Yep.
And so then we did that for probably almost a year and a half then,
Yeah,
right?
I think
Until
so.
we started to do lean. So now it brings us to the next episode.
The next topic.
So we get Gemba docs, and I was like, hey, this is crazy, but you know what we can do? We can stop making installation videos and just make documents using Gemba docs.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And for us, that was like a huge transition because forever we sucked at making like paper installation instructions.
Yeah.
There was never a good way to do it. We used Word to do it, and it was just a pain. We used InDesign to do it. So we always used videos as a cheat code to make
Yeah.
the installation for the customer.
Yep.
Then we could go back and screen grab and then put together a document. However, when I realized that we could do this with Gemba docs, I was like, game change, let's go. So I pretty much came over and said, hey, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah, that was terrifying.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, wait a second, what am I going to do here?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that in a way, even though I was like not intentionally doing this, I kind of put you and Kevin both on an island.
Yeah, a little bit.
And Kevin, you know, he still had other responsibilities that were helping engineering.
Yeah.
So he probably didn't feel like he was on that island as much as you did.
I'm on an island.
Yeah. So you kind of became like a floundering fish without the job responsibilities that you had. They had shifted.
Oh, man, was I scared.
Yeah.
I was scared.
Yeah. So then what happened was we started to really lean into visual control. And that's when I dubbed you the Chief Visual Control Officer, which I'm not sure that there are Chief Visual Control Officers.
There is now.
Yeah. So
You're
I think
looking at her.
other companies should consider having a Chief Visual Control Officer. I really do believe that is something that's valuable. One of the things that has been really fun is allowing you to be creative in your way.
Yeah.
For a long time, the way that you were working in our marketing department, there really wasn't a lot of opportunity to use your creativity.
Yeah. No, not really. It was all pretty much just cut and dry.
Yeah. The only time you used your creativity were when you were like carving avocado pits into necklaces for our kids.
That's right.
But it was a way to showcase your skill set and the things you were working on. And you often brought in your work that, you know, whether it's drawings or whatever it may be.
I like to show them off.
Yeah. So when we came into Lean, you said you were terrified.
A little bit, yeah.
What did you think was going to happen?
Well, okay, so I had previously done lean before in my very first welding job. So when did I start doing that? 2018, I think. I had no idea what lean was when I started working there. They're like, "Oh yeah, this is a lean company. You know, we do this and this." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I think that I fell in more so with my coworkers who also did not understand and were not on board. And so like we'd go to the morning meetings and we would read the credo and like everybody would stand around like, this is dumb. Why are we doing this? We could be working." And you know, they'd have us do shadow boards and stuff. And we're like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Like, it just didn't feel like a team effort. It felt like something that the office was telling us to do, but not really explaining why or why it would be helpful. And I don't know. So when you brought it up, I thought,
It flashbacks to shadow boards
exactly.
and
Yeah.
standing around a morning meeting.
yeah, exactly.
The thing that they were missing is that they were doing what most traditional companies do in the United States when they introduce lean. They grab all the tools, but they don't work on the culture.
Yeah.
And, you know, as we all saw in 2 Second Lean, you know, Paul Akers, he tells you every single day you have to build the culture first before you start implementing tools.
Yep.
And a lot of times you get stuck in these jobs where people have tried lean and failed, and then the employees have like a very negative feeling towards it.
Yep.
And coming into that, I think you and maybe one other person may have experienced a similar situation with lean, but you definitely voiced it. You know, like I don't really want lean done to me again.
Yeah, like I mean, I felt like I was open to it because it still felt like something I didn't understand. And it's like, I'm always willing to learn, you know, my thirst for knowledge knows no bounds.
Yeah.
Like, but after having that experience, I was like, I don't know,
Yeah.
like, what is Brian getting us into?
Yeah.
But so far, so good.
I think that it worked pretty well, but I do think that I definitely didn't do you any favors initially. And it wasn't necessarily that I maliciously did it, but I literally put you on an island looking like maybe my job's going to be removed. And then you essentially started to internalize some of those feelings, rightfully so, and felt like there's a chance that any day now my job's going to be eliminated and I'm not going to have a job.
Yeah.
And I think I left you in that spot for, man, if I had to guess, I would probably say at least 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Probably close to a month. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think once we decided, hey, let's do this visual control stuff, even when I came in and was like, Morgan, you got to lean into this, I still felt like maybe you had your walls up to be like, is this like a last ditch effort for me?
Right.
Like what exactly was it?
Right. Like, are you just throwing me some table scraps so that I can stay on the stay on the team?
Yeah. But I felt like your value, it was like I was finally removing this shell that you had and it's starting to expose what we really had, and that is like an artist.
Yeah.
And artistry is hard because it doesn't make any money.
No.
You know, like,
no.
right?
No, and it's subjective.
Yes,
so.
very subjective. So when you could be the best artist in the world in your mind, but somebody else doesn't want to consume your product. And obviously in the art world, you want to try to sell prints. Right? Here's my artwork. Here's a print, and I'm going to sell it at Home Goods. Right? What are the chances of that happens to artists? Very, very little.
Right. It's probably somewhere like professional sports.
Oh yeah,
You know
but
what I
less
mean?
than 2%. I bet it's way less
You're
than 2%.
not going to be a famous artist anymore. Everybody's an artist. Anybody with a tablet.
The thing that I've always struggled with art like that and people that are really creative in that way, it's hard to harness them without them feeling oppressed. You know, because it's like, you don't like my ideas, and then they get offended or they're hurt. And I feel that you had a lot of that initially here before Lean, where sometimes you may have made suggestions or something and maybe felt like we were dismissing it or putting you down or hurting your feelings. Or, you know what I mean? I think artists in general always have a little bit thinner skin.
Right. Well, you definitely have to get used to it, though.
With artistry, it's very hard because your work is subjective to other people. And if somebody doesn't like your artwork, you oftentimes take it personally. And I think that's something that every artist carries is a little bit of insecurities. You know, is my work good enough? You know, do people like what I'm doing? Yeah.
First thing you got to do as an artist is grow a tough skin.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Because, it's always going to be a collaborative effort, especially if you're doing it like in my situation with like a whole company behind me. Like, everybody's got to be on board with the things that you make and produce. So it's important.
So now I want to kind of fast forward a little bit, but I don't want to go too far. I think that I can remember the day. I don't remember exactly the date, but I walked into your office and I walked into a time bomb. And I've done this before where you just, and when we implemented Lean initially, it was like an ambush. You know, there'd be times where I think things are good, and then I start talking with somebody, and it's like I'm getting ambushed. Like, oh no, you know, they're struggling. And the one that I had with you, I walked into your office and I made a joke. I don't even know what the joke was about.
Me neither.
And you damn near broke down.
I did.
I mean, and I was
I'm
like,
pretty sure I cried.
oh yeah, and I was like, oh no, what is going on?
She's broken.
Yeah, and what it was is that you were having a bit of an anxiety attack, you know, coupled with the emotions of, you know, your job potentially going away, not really understanding the direction of what we were doing, thinking that Lean was going to be done to you and not with you. There was a lot to it. And what we really kind of scraped down to was ADHD. And I definitely want to talk about that in a little more depth, but I want to get back to the chief visual control officer part. So as we transitioned, I said, hey, Morgan, I think I have a really great position for you. I want you to start working on visual control. When I said, hey, Morgan, I want you to work on visual control, did you have a clue what I was talking about?
No, not really. I mean, I think I'd heard it like in buzzwords or whatever in our podcast that you've been sending to us. But I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
What?
Yep. So I started watching like webinars on like how to, use colors and signs and safety signs and what they mean and how they mean. And
Yeah.
what I was trying to do is drive this across our entire organization because I've seen the power of visual control and visual management. And I was like, we have to have this. So I was like, this is great. Morgan, A, has time, and B, she needs another responsibility. So, hey, let's go it. So I bestowed this title on you, and you were kind of like, okay, okay, thanks. And then basically I was like, all right, now go do it.
Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You want what?
Yep. And as the thing was, it's the customer pull. We always talk about customer pull. You had customer pull right away because
That's true.
people in the shop were saying, hey, Morgan, can you help me with...
Can you label this? Can you label this? Can you label this?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
Yep. And then we kind of hashed out a good way to make a standard for it.
Yeah.
Hey, we want signs that are locations. They'll look like this.
Yep.
And we kind of slowly have hashed out a way that we want our signs to look.
Yeah, you brought me the European sign standard,
Yeah.
and we kind of modeled it off of that and went from there.
And obviously, we're moving into a new building. We talk about it on every show. And we have this great opportunity to do like a full reset.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even know. Now that I've been doing this for a while, I'm super excited.
I feel like we finally got past like this needs a label, that needs a label, to like the real creative work.
Yeah.
Like the Kanban boards and the turn back boards.
Yeah, that's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and even like the housekeeping boards, the things that allow you to like do something graphically and then transport with a wrap. So when we move, I feel like we're going to get there. But right now, I mean, we're talking about doing some banners in the shipping department after our Kaizen event. And that's going to be like fun.
It's going to be so cool.
Yeah, that stuff's really
can't
cool.
wait.
And it just adds to the environment. Oh, like that. It's just so good. Like somebody comes in for a lean tour and they walk into our shipping department and we have these banners. They show all of our brands and a picture of whatever the product we're representing. I think it's a great idea.
I think so too.
And that's really fun. And I think that I've seen like the visual control and visual management side of you has like really matured in the last several weeks.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm learning so many things, even just in the last several weeks.
Yeah.
Like I've learned so much with that latex printer, like in the
Printing
last
the
couple of
magnets.
weeks
Yeah.
than I
Ever.
have in exactly since I started this role. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
A lot of people will ask us about this and they say, how did you create that? How did you create that Kanban board? How did you create those labels? And then I'm like, well, once upon a time, we used to do the SEMA show. So we would go to Las Vegas and spend a bunch of money. And what we did was we spent the money one year and bought a wide format vinyl printer and a cutter so we can print and wrap vehicles. So now to weaponize it for lean is super easy.
It's so cool.
So a lot of people don't have that. They're trying to figure out how to make labels. We literally have a graphics department. And so we're able to create all kinds of graphics and we can do really cool things. We can print banners. We printed all your banners, your Fat American manufacturing banners.
That's right.
Yeah. You hand drew all those.
Yeah, they're little fat American welders.
Yeah. You hand drew all those. Those were all your idea. And that was like I feel like that was like your first opportunity to like really show your hand drawing creativity.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And
that was the fire under my butt.
Yeah. And I think from there we've kind of said, okay, we really like this like drawn graphic style. So it's been fun to kind of implement that
It worked
more.
out really cool.
Yeah. So those banners are great. We've shipped them to a bunch of people.
That has been so cool for me. Like you don't even know.
Yeah.
I feel like an international artist right now.
So the next thing, I walk into your office and you have this, like you're having this breakdown and you're all over the place. I didn't really know where to go with it, but I knew that I was like in it.
You were in for it.
Yeah. It wasn't stopping until we figured out a way to address it. And so we just sat there and talked it out. And I think what we came to the realization was that it was ADHD that was flaring up. And you were starting to really panic.
Yeah, it was definitely putting me in panic.
And
for
you were drowning and you were basically just saying, help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I was like, I got to the point where it was like, I either have to tell him or I'm just going to be looking to lose my job any of these days. Like,
and I know that like for you, you were like a little bit like embarrassed or ashamed of it.
Big time.
But I saw it as this like awesome opportunity to lean into it because there are other people here that suffer from ADHD.
Yeah, it turns out there's a lot more than I thought there were.
There's a lot of people everywhere that suffer with this. And for me, it's never been a thing that has ever affected me. So it's really hard for me to understand.
I'm so jealous of you right now.
But I went on to all these lean groups and I said, hey guys, Morgan's struggling with this. Does anyone have any recommendations? We got a lot of
Yeah, and actually, even I reached out to
Seating Matters.
Seating Matters, and I think I tried to reach out to Gamba Docs, but I think I got a hold of somebody at Seating Matters, and they gave me a really cool idea for these task cards to keep me on track.
Yeah.
So I made up one of those, and you were super excited when we rolled that out. I think it was a lot of your idea, actually.
Try to basically what we were doing was basically giving you a Gemba board of all of your tasks and cards to move across to kind of hopefully keep you on task. So you're like, get lost. You could then look up at the board and be like, oh yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be working on.
And it's tactile with the little Velcro dots. So I can move
I thought that was a great improvement. And obviously I know you've made improvements to it as you've gone.
Yeah.
And I think that was pretty big, but I think more than anything, it was just acknowledging for yourself that there was an issue and then being willing to say, all right, I'm going to lean into this and I'm going to fix it.
Yeah.
I would say that there were probably 4 or 5 of your coworkers that came out and said, hey, I also have this same problem.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of cool to see. I think there's so many people out there that struggle with this. And
well, shoot, one of them even came up and got me to give him some of my task cards so that he could get on board with it.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Okay.
Yeah. So it went from this thing that you were like a little embarrassed about and a little ashamed to something that became a real tool for us. And being able to have that experience, I feel like is valuable. And there were so many good recommendations. So many of them. Are there any other recommendations that we had from those groups that you've implemented?
You had sent me, I don't remember who it was that sent you the ADHD music.
That was Will recently.
I had that on just today, actually. I was listening to some of that while I was doing my banner work.
Yeah. Another one was when we would randomly find a chair in our building and like you'd walk up and you'd be like, why is there a folding chair here? And I always wondered for the longest time, and it was actually, it was your chair.
It was me.
Yeah.
I like to go up in the upstairs and do my drawings so that I'm not around people. Or I'll go to the conference room if nobody's in there. Actually, no, I think I was in there with Hannah one time, but it's so much easier to just go someplace that's not my office to just work on the art things or whatever. So
there's a guy named Leroy who's in Pennsylvania, and he was recently talking about how he was showing us like how far he goes to get away from everybody else so that he can focus on what he needs to work on. Yeah. And so you kind of almost wonder like how many people out there are undiagnosed with ADHD, don't want to medicate, which is totally acceptable. And they're finding ways to manage.
Yep. You have to find ways to cope. If you're not going to medicate it, you got to find ways to cope. Otherwise, you're just going to be crazy.
And I think the thing that we determined that was your biggest obstacle were shoulder taps, where somebody would come and say, hey, Morgan, I need help with this. And then it completely would derail you from what you were trying to get done.
Or even just a conversation, because like I'm too nice to be like, hey, I got to get back to this. Like I need to do my work. Like, no, I'll just let you talk and talk and talk and talk until the day's almost over.
Right.
So it's better if I just remove myself from the situation.
And in Lean, they always talk about how defects are an opportunity. They're not a problem because they give you a chance to address stuff. And I feel like we had a defect in a way, right? And we had an opportunity to address it. And I feel like you've actually implemented quite a few tactics that maybe you just dealt with for your whole life and haven't, thought about, how can I manage this?
Exactly.
And it wasn't that Lean brought it out. It wasn't that Lean caused it. It was, I think it was more the disruption of your normal workflow because you had gotten comfortable in your role. Yep. And then your role shifted. So I don't know, it's like initially you're like, I don't know how people do Lean implementation with ADHD.
Yeah. No, I didn't. And I was looking everywhere online to see if anybody had posted something like on Reddit, on Facebook, anything. And I'm like, where are my people at? There's got to be people out there, but I didn't find anything. Yeah. So
I think that we didn't do a proper 5 whys because the 5 why, it wasn't the Lean implementation that was causing this. It was the uncertainty of your job, the new tasks that were coming. It was just a lot all at once. And then you trying to process 6 or 7 things at a time with ADHD is not.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
a lot.
Usually if I'm doing that, then I'm just in ADHD freeze and I can't do anything. And then I feel guilty because I'm not doing anything. And it's just a snowball.
Yeah. I think it's really cool that you are willing to just kind of be the face of it. And, when you when you came on this today, and it's like, hey, we're going to talk about this because I think it's important that other people hear it.
Yeah, no, I think so too.
And I think that if I would have asked Morgan this, 2 months ago, you would have said, no, thanks.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't want to do that. Because in a way it's like admitting that you have a problem. And the thing about it is it's an acceptable problem.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah. Because so many people have it. It's just the problem is that people who don't have it and don't understand what it's like, it's really hard to explain it to them.
Yeah.
And I feel like part of my fear of telling you is that I'm like, I think he's a neurotypical and I don't know if he's going to understand where I'm coming from and I don't want to get made fun of.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, there's so many people out there like this. So we just got to find our way to make it.
I've had conversations with people about lean implementation stuff, and they'll start talking to me about some stuff, and I'm like, have you ever been diagnosed with ADHD? Now I'm like hyper, I'm aware of it because I know what
There's so many quirks to it.
Yeah. And then, somebody would be like, you know what? I do have it. And I was like, okay, well, if you have it, then these are some, so I've been able to like help other people,
true,
even though I have no clue.
Even in our chat, I noticed, with the ADHD music thing that you posted.
Oh, there was like
in the
6
chat.
guys in there that were like, oh, I'm going to use this.
Right.
And,
It was really cool to see.
Yeah, like Jamie, he's one of our welders. He said, hey, I struggle with ADHD
he definitely
too.
does. I used to work with him.
Yeah.
And he and I would be like, ooh.
Yeah. So I think, he's been using that music as well. So I just think it's really great that we've had this chance to really look at this and try to.
We're working together and it's helping our community.
Yeah. So I think the biggest takeaways of somebody else, if you're out there and you're dealing with ADHD, would be to consider using a Kanban board where you have tasks and you move them across, and they don't have to go linearly. They can go forward and backwards. Just, what you're currently working on. So if you get interrupted, you can come back to it. The other thing is I feel like with ADHD, it's helpful if you have more than one task.
Yeah.
Because if you have one task, it is a burden.
Yep.
It's hard to get
You can become aggressively disinterested in something that you don't want to do. And it's like, I know I have to do this thing, but for some reason there's something in my brain that's like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So
I think it's good to have the ability to have other work.
Yeah.
And I think identifying that with some of your employees, it could be hugely beneficial because now you can say, all right, this person deals with ADHD. I'm going to give them a couple of tasks that they can work through. Obviously, there's going to be some tasks where you're like, listen, I just need you to get this done.
Right.
But I think being aware of it and having some consideration for it can go a long way.
Yeah, giving people with ADHD the grace to just get through the day is it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to shift gears now. I want to talk about the time where we had Tom Hughes come visit us from Ireland. And I didn't really tell you. I ambush you a lot.
It's true. He does. He does.
And a lot of it's because I'm trying to keep you from having anxiety about it. So I figure that if I can just like I told you yesterday, hey, I'm gonna have you on this.
Yeah.
And I told you yesterday because I wanted you to make sure that like you were comfortable in what you're wearing, and if you did your makeup or brushed your hair,
Yeah, exactly.
You're supposed to just throwing it on you on the day. Yeah, you could have woke up this morning in like a terrible mood and like wore sweatpants to work, and then hey, you're on the podcast today with sweatpants.
Daryl won't let me wear sweatpants.
Ah, that's a shame. So anyways, Tom was coming to town, and Tom was like, hey, I'm thinking about bringing a photographer so I can do video. And I was like, no need. I'm like, we'll grab Morgan. We'll have Morgan go and do all of our video. But I didn't tell you until...
No, I didn't even realize he was talking about bringing a photographer with him, honestly.
Yeah, so when he got here, I said, hey, Morgan, I need you to grab the camera. I need you to and follow us around. We're going to shoot some video and whatever. Yeah. And it was really interesting because we spent 2 days with Tom, 2 full days. And during that time, I slowly saw you like having that aha moment in lean.
Yeah.
And really like feeling like, and I don't know if it was because he was like endorsing your ideas or endorsing the things that you have done. And there was like a new weight that carried from somebody else outside saying, this is awesome.
Right.
Like, this is great. This is awesome. Morgan, you did awesome with this. It helps.
It does.
For sure.
Though. Yeah. Yeah.
But being around somebody like at Tom's level was fun.
It was crazy cool. Yeah.
And I think that for you, you turned like 180 degrees. When Tom left and Monday morning came around, we had a different Morgan completely. And I think it was just the
dreadlocks were gone.
No, they were gone for a while. I think it was like I think it was a confidence thing.
Yeah.
I feel like he really instilled a bunch of confidence that maybe you hadn't quite had, or maybe it was like confirmation that what you were doing was working and you were good at it.
Yeah.
He was also really surprised at how good we were at creating videos.
I like that.
Yeah. Well,
Appreciate that.
We've created videos forever.
Yeah.
So we had DSL cameras. We've had Rode mics. We've had it all. We have gimbals. We have it all. And he was shocked that we had it. He was like, "You have all this stuff and you're shooting stuff with a cell phone?" I was like, "Okay, well, I'll step it up a little bit." So you shot all of our stuff that he's using now. He just released the first video. Released the SOP video.
Yeah.
The Kanban video I think is coming next month, and then there's also still that like podcast, I guess, kind of thing we did, the question and answer.
Even post that yet?
No.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah. So I think it was really cool because not only were you a part of that, you also were a part of all the conversations we were having the entire weekend.
That was so cool.
And we were having some pretty advanced level conversations. So there's like a whole different level of transparency, I think. Also, a lot of times, once people start to understand and see the path that I have us on, like once they finally see it, they're like, "Oh, now I get it."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sense.
Yeah. And so I think you got a lot of transparency that allowed you to see that path and that and understand where we were going.
Yeah.
More
It was cool to get the validation also from Tom, you know what I mean? Like, cause he's been doing this for a while. He's written books. Like he's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And so like just to have him come to our shop after how many lean months?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, 3 months, not even.
Yeah.
Right?
Like that was validating. And it was very, like, I think that definitely boosted the confidence of probably a lot of us. But
No,
for sure me.
Yeah. It was really neat. And then you also did the hand drawing, the cartoon of Tom.
Oh, yeah, his portrait.
Yeah, that he's using on his relaunch right now. So
he?
that's you. Yeah. So it's part of their brand refresh.
That's
It includes
awesome.
the cartoon character of Tom that you
so cool.
created. Yeah. So still another internationally known artist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look at me go.
So now that we have been doing lean for about 6 months as a company, do you feel like we're doing lean to you?
No. Oh God, no. I am all in.
If you had to contrast what you had at your first job versus what you had here, I mean, can you explain?
It's not at all the same. Like, I mean, at my last job, everybody was in their different cells. Like you were all welders, but you were all doing different. Yeah, you were all doing different like product.
Yeah.
So we made furniture. So we were all making different furniture product or whatever. But like we were not collaborative. There wasn't like the culture community that we have here. Like, some people you don't know, or some people you have beef with and you can't do anything about it. But like here, it's such a close knit community that like it's so much easier to just be like, hey, we've had problems in the past, but there's no reason for us to have these problems. Like,
Right.
Going to a job every day already stinks, so you might as well not make it worse with your crappy attitude.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's been an awesome shift. Like I appreciate it so much.
You have gotten the Golden Banana Award, so you are a banana recipient.
I did.
And today you got a shout out today from Alex.
Yeah, that felt good.
And I feel like you've gotten a lot of acknowledgement from everybody else. So
Yeah, that feels really good.
there's probably
Appreciate
some. I was asked to do your video for your Golden Banana.
Yeah.
And that was hard.
Oh my gosh, that was hard for me to watch in front of everybody.
Yeah, that was probably one of the most vulnerable videos that I've ever had to do. I did one take and I sent it to Cole and I said, "All right, that was really hard. Just run it."
I can't do it again.
Yeah. So he had to actually, Kevin Bradshaw had also did part of a video.
Yeah.
And you didn't get to see that part, unfortunately, because I took too much time with my crying. But we decided it was better if we just use the one clip. But just know that Kevin Bradshaw also endorsed your.
I appreciate you, Kevin.
Yeah. He gives you shout outs quite a bit often as well.
He's awesome.
And now he's been relocated as well.
I know,
currently.
I miss him.
Yeah, so he's been working in production as part of our value stream, which has been hugely beneficial. But yeah, it's like we changed.
Yeah.
We grew up,
Yep.
the company shifted. We had to look at who were overhead positions that maybe we didn't need and figure out how to put them into production so that we could get our lead times down. And I think that's important as well
Definitely.
to focus on the customer and what the customer is looking at.
For sure. Yeah.
And it's hard. Right? Everything's hard, but it's been fun.
Growing and changing is always hard, but
Yeah.
I mean, if you find a way to look at the bright side of everything, it's fun. Like we're growing as a family almost. You know what I mean? Like it just
I don't know. I've never felt this way about a job before.
Yeah.
You know, like I care about all of these people.
Yeah. Going back to when Tom came, I feel like that Monday was like New Morgan. And I've seen this happen with several employees. Joe is another good example of this. And you just like make a 180-degree turn and you're like, holy crap, we just unlocked something that we had no idea.
It's really cool.
It's that unutilized talent aspect, you know, that you're a welder and you're creative, but we don't know. And then we put you in another spot and then we pin you down by saying, okay, it does this one thing. It's shooting video and editing video. There's no creativity. And then being able to actually open up and bring people's talent out.
Yeah. Yeah. Voicing your opinions and ideas and not having them shot down every single time just because like,
oh, that's not the way we do it here.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, no, we could try that and see if it works.
You know, one of the things that, one of the first things I had you do was do a video with Kaizen foam. And you took our JCR off-road props, which were like a fake hot dog that we bought from China that looks real and like a fake hamburger.
Yeah, our prop food.
Yeah, we have all this prop food that we put onto our products for product photos because it catches people's attention. And you made like Kaizen foam to put those in. And I sent it to Paul Akers and he laughed so hard about it. He was like, this is so great. But I'll tell you, when Alex came walking over while you were doing it and he was so mad because you were like wasting your time. He's like, oh, what is she doing? She's just wasting time cutting hot dogs into foam. I mean, he was so mad about it.
Oh my God, Alex.
And I had to tell him, I was like, Alex, you got to chill. I'm like, I kind of encouraged you to do it because I wanted to see the creativity and I wanted to show how Kaizen foam is functional.
Yeah, it was good content and also it was showing
how to use it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so. But Alex, man, he was so mad about it.
Well, he even made a cut. He made the cut into the video because I was like, "Hey, Alex, go get into my cabinet," and he's like, "What?"
Oh yeah, he told me later. He's like, "I was so mad about that." But that just goes to show like how far the culture's come because that was probably maybe week 3 of lean at the earliest, maybe.
Sure. Yeah.
And so like now there's no way. I mean, he would just be like,
"Oh, okay.
This is great." Yeah, because historically as a company, we're really good at being funny.
Yes, we are,
and we're all really creative and fun people. So to kind of say we got to do it a certain way wouldn't work.
No,
we got to do lean our way, and our way includes being goofy and being dumb with stuff sometimes.
Yeah, and it's more engaging that way, I think.
Yeah, I took I made a Gemba docs of a picture. It was like a dumb meme picture. And then Alex was on vacation and I printed the QR code. I put it over the laser on his mouse. So when he came back into work, he couldn't use his mouse until he looked and then he scanned it and it was like, he's like, But it's just like that. You can't take the fun out of everything.
No, you can't. It's great.
But yeah, I think going forward, I'm really excited to see how you're going to progress further.
I'm excited too. Yeah.
And I think that the ADHD stuff really needs to become lean by doing content. I think it's something that we really should start looking at how we can make videos to represent some of those things. Like if you're dealing with ADHD, here's how I manage my workflow. And then you show your workflow.
Yeah.
Things like that, because when you were looking for this information, it wasn't there.
Exactly.
So why can't you create that? And that's my challenge for you.
Okay.
Is I'd like to see you start. I'd like you to create a video that shows, hey guys, this is a problem that I deal with, and here's how I'm combating it. And let's start to generate some real content for that. Yeah. And let's see if we can give people some way of understanding, like how to learn by doing. Like we learned it.
Exactly.
Now let's teach. Now let's teach it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't do us any good if we hold on to it and we don't share it.
We do love to share here.
Yeah, I think it's important that we share. It's really good that people have resources when they need it because, we don't know where the next Morgan's going to be in a lean implementation who's spinning like a top and the owner of the company has no clue.
You're right.
So let's help Morgan of another company with that. So that's my challenge for you for 2025. I'd like to see you creating content for Lean by Doing.
Okay.
And I just want you to know that, and I know you know it, but I genuinely have your back every single day. I think you're the most creative person I've ever met. And I think it's awesome that we've unearthed it because it has given us such momentum as a company to have it. And I know that all of your coworkers love you. And I think and I think that when we move, this building is just going to be the biggest and best visual control thing
It's going to be sick.
ever.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm really excited to see what other people think of when they come in to see visual control, and they see it done at like a exceptional level that hasn't been seen. You know what I mean? There's some really great visual control companies out there, but I think that in the United States, I think we can really just dial that in.
For sure.
We have all the tools.
Yep. We're starting
and
from the
all
ground
the talent.
up.
Yeah.
Super exciting.
Yeah. So anyways, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having
and,
me.
It's become kind of tradition that I end this show with a fist bump. So Morgan, keep kicking ass.
Keep kicking ass.
Once again, thanks for tuning in to the Lean by Doing podcast. If you like what you're seeing here, make sure you like and comment on YouTube, as well as give us a 5-star review on Spotify. Thanks again.